All right, we are back. The one and only OSB Sports Podcast. I am Scott Matthews. Can you believe it? It's the month of November already. Unbelievable. I am here with my special guest, the one and only Teddy Brooks, CEO of Sports Profits. What's up, my man?
I love November because the only thing I don't like about November is
The leaves falling?
well, not in Florida. We don't have to worry about that. It's kind of sad because in November you are almost at or past the halfway mark for the football season, but the weather gets nicer and the holidays come, so that's
the weather's great here now.
bittersweet.
Dropped down to like the high 60s, low 70s now.
Beautiful.
It was 90s all for months. Yeah, you got to love it. And football heats up. You know, we're halfway through. Can you believe that college football, we got like 3 weeks left of the regular season, 3 or 4 weeks, and then they're going into the bowl games already? It's crazy.
I think they should extend the college football season.
So how many games, though? Because these guys, you got to protect them.
Got to protect them, but
They don't even want to play bowl games, some of these guys.
What always happens with the rookies is they come into the NFL and you start to see after game 10, 11, they start to fatigue because they're not used to playing a 16 or an 18-game season. I think what they should do, and it would be pretty cool, but it might be messed up for ratings, is so right now, pretty much Thanksgiving is the last weekend of
Right.
football games. That's where you have the
Then
conference.
they take a break
Right.
for a bit.
And then they take a break, and then they have the bowl games. I just think a few more weeks into the season, especially now with all these conferences merging, now would be a good time to do it because you could start to rearrange schedules and then maybe have the bowl games go a little bit deeper into January.
Listen,
I think
you know
it would
what?
be cool. I think it would be good for money for the NCAA and the conferences. More games equals more money always, and you compete with. The only issue is those bowl games would now compete with the NFL playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. Did you see, by the way, before we get into giving out some games, did you see the first rankings of college football for the national championship games came out? The top 4. Number 1 is Ohio State, jumped over Georgia.
I think Georgia was disrespected, and I think
they're playing good right now.
I think that this is going to fire them up. You got to think about it. This is a 2-time championship team. They've won the last 2 years in a row. They've been number 1. They haven't really dropped that ranking.
Undefeated.
I think this gives them a little bit of motivation, a little chip on the shoulder, a little spark.
Yeah, listen, anything can help, I guess, right? It always did seem like for Alabama, they always looked for that spark in the rankings to keep, to get them fired up for games. But right now, currently, Ohio State number 1, Georgia number 2, Michigan, go blue, number 3, and Florida State number 4.
And Alabama
and
number
Washington
8.
5.
Washington 5, Oregon 6, I think.
I think so, yes.
Alabama 8. That's a little disrespect also, if you ask me.
Well, they did lose that early season game.
They did.
To Texas.
But Oregon has a loss also, but Oregon does look very good. So we'll see what happens. We got some weeks.
Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. Obviously, right now you got college football going into, I think it's like week 10 already. Unbelievable, double digits. The year's just blowing by. It's shocking, actually, to think we were waiting for football to be here, and pretty soon it's going to be gone. That's how quick the season's going. But
pretty soon it's going to be gone, and then we got to take the show in
college basketball,
a new direction.
which we both love.
I love college basketball.
That's right. We'll talk about that in November. Well, it is November.
It starts on Monday.
It does.
It
the
starts
6th,
on Monday.
right?
Yeah, November 6th starts.
Unbelievable. Yep. Crazy. But we got a lot of games coming up this week. We got this week. Last week was kind of a boring schedule, but we got some dynamite matchups this week, not only in the NFL, but college football over the weekend. I want to start it off with this Thursday night game. 2 teams trying to figure themselves out. We got Tennessee and Pittsburgh, the Steelers, obviously. Current line on this game I'm showing is Pittsburgh is 2.5 at home. Do you have any lean or you like this game at all? I mean, you got 2 teams right now that are trying to figure it all out, in my opinion, but maybe there's something there you like in this one.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, both of these teams are trying to figure it out. Tennessee with the upset loss against Atlanta last week. Pittsburgh losing to Jacksonville. I actually had Jacksonville last week.
Actually, Tennessee won last week.
That's an upset.
Okay.
My bad. Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing now. What I'm really looking at is this Will Levis, right? Mm-hmm. This kid dropped in the draft way past. I mean, do you remember he was sitting there? His girlfriend was next to him. He was waiting for that
Yeah,
call.
yeah.
He wasn't getting that call. People thought
The
he
girl
was.
was ready to leave him, I
he-
think.
they actually broke up. I don't know why or what the story is with that, but they broke up. She was sitting there, so he was like one of the biggest stories of the draft for how much he dropped, and he came into that game, I think 4 touchdowns. He had crazy stats. So
Yeah, he had a
there's
shot.
a story there. He has more touchdowns in that one game than Tannehill has all year.
Yeah, Tannehill's been terrible. I mentioned that on the show, I think, last week or the week before. I went with Atlanta last week, unfortunately, and I got it handed to me on that one, but we'll talk about something better than that. But, yeah, Tannehill's been terrible this year. I think he's thrown, like, almost as many interceptions as he's thrown touchdown passes. It's like that close.
He's been horrible, and now he's hurt. Will Levis is going to be starting again. I'm all over the road dog Tennessee Titans in this game, especially I think Pitt. I think Kenny Pickett got hurt in the last game. He has been upgraded to probable, but I'm not putting much faith in this Steelers team. They are scary sometimes with covering some spreads, but
yeah, their defense controls them. I think at the end of the day, if they make they cause turnovers on defense. That's how their offense gets sparked up and on games.
yeah,
Seems that way.
When you got a rookie quarterback like Levis, there's not a lot of film on him. It's going to be hard to kind of predict what he's going to do. And with the great game he had, let's see what he does. I'm not going to come out here and say he's the next elite quarterback, but let's see what he does. He was impressive last week in replacing Tannehill.
There's some 3 college football games on Thursday night. Anything hit your fancy there?
I'm on Texas Tech versus TCU. This is an interesting game. These are 2 teams that were expected to do better this year, especially TCU, who went to the playoffs last year.
Yeah, national championships.
National championship game. Got destroyed by Georgia, of course, but at least they made it. Here's the thing. I look at the one team that both of these teams faced was K-State. Texas Tech fared a lot better against K-State, and that was with Jake Strong, their 3rd-string quarterback. Now their 2nd-string quarterback, Baron Morton, is coming back to play. The last 2 games that Texas Tech lost was without Morton. He's coming back. I think TCU's in trouble here. On the road, Chandler Morris is still out, TCU's quarterback. They have their backup in. Big problems here. They gave up 500-plus yards against K-State. And, yeah, Texas Tech lost to K-State also, but it was a much closer game. Both of these teams played West Virginia and Houston. Results were comparable there. But I spent a lot
Who's your lean on that one?
Texas Tech all day
Texas
long.
Tech.
I would buy it off the 3. What do you have, 3.5?
I got 60 and a half on the total.
3. I would buy it off the 3 to 2.5. And one thing I'm going to say this week, what I'm doing a lot of now that we have some games behind us, is I'm looking at comparable matchups, what teams did against each other.
I like this game to be a shootout. I think that game is going to be a high-scoring game. I think the last one to touch it wins it, and I think there'll be a lot of points. I think the 60 and a half is a fair number. Normally, I would think this game would be in the 50s or mid to upper 50s, but being the fact that they're showing a 60 and a half and it's been solid, I think this game has potential to score at least 65 to 75 points. So I think there's going to be a shootout, and I like the over. I would call this on a scale of 1 to 10. I would make this a 6 as far as units, and I like that game to go over between TCU and Texas Tech on that Thursday night game. Now, I got some games on Friday in college football. There's a couple that look pretty interesting. Actually, one of them that looks interesting, and it's the perfect scenario for me that I've made money with this year on games, is the matchup with Syracuse involved. Boston College and Syracuse on Friday night. I don't know if you're looking at that game at all, but the current line is 2.5 on that game between Syracuse and BC. I got a really strong lean on that game. Just curious to see who you like maybe on that one.
I like the other game, so let's hear what you have to say about that one, and then
okay. I'm jumping.
You guys are getting 2 for Friday.
There you go. 2 for the money. And listen, I really like, in this game, I got to be honest with you, I like the dog. I love Boston College. Perfect spot again, almost similar to the spot I told you a couple of weeks ago when they played Georgia Tech, and I thought they had a shot to win that game pretty convincingly as a dog. They were actually getting 4.5 in that game, and they blew Georgia Tech out. I just don't like the way Syracuse is playing right now. They started out like gangbusters, winning. I think they outscored their opponents 180-something to very small number, just blew them out in the first 4 games. Their last 3 games, they've been terrible, or 4 games, actually. They haven't won a game. I like the way Boston College is playing right now. They've won 4 straight games in a row. They're good on offense. They're good on defense. I like this game. I'd buy it to 3 for sure. I wouldn't leave this game on a 2 and a hook. It doesn't matter to me. Take BC as a live dog. This is a best bet game for me on Friday.
Yeah, I mean, real quick, I can't disagree with you there. I was big against Syracuse last week. You agreed with me with Virginia Tech. We were right there. I think now is a great time to go against Syracuse. I don't know what's going on with them, but they are on a pure...
they're just not playing right.
They're on a pure unraveling right now. I think it's a good pick. And yeah, what Scotty said, always buy off that 2, the 3 to 2.5 or 3. Just always do it. And one thing I will say, and I said this a couple weeks ago, the sports books, like I was looking at MGM, they let you take whatever line you want with NFL, but with college, they don't let you take anything off the line that they give. Very weird. If MGM's listening, let people let people adjust the line for college if you want to get more of that market share.
A lot of them don't do that. It's crazy.
If you want to get more of that market share, I read an article about they're trying to get rid of the black market, but you got to let the people, I'm going to say it again, I sound like a broken record, you got to let the people make the kind of bets that they can make on those other sites if you don't want them on those other sites. Now, my pick for Friday is Colorado State plus the 7.5 against Wyoming. Okay. Wyoming is not covering right now as a home favorite. Colorado is covering as a road dog. This quarterback, while not super elite, he's been getting the job done. He's racking up some touchdowns. Braden Fowler Nicolosi, very cool name too. I love saying it. And Colorado's 5-0 against the spread as the road dog.
Colorado State. They both played Boise this year. Colorado State beat Boise.
Wyoming got crushed by Boise. Colorado State did lose against Air Force. I had Air Force last week. But yeah, I'm on Colorado State on this Friday night, plus the 7.5.
All right. I'll tell you, there's a big weekend of games in college football. Some tremendous matchups finally. I don't know if you've been looking at some of these games, but you got a huge play in the Big 12 between Kansas State and Texas at noontime. I love this game. I'll talk about that a little bit later on, but that's a huge play. You got LSU going against Alabama and Tuscaloosa. That crowd is going to be crazy. 103,000 going to be at that game. The current line on that game is Alabama -3 only against LSU. I know there's a ton of matchups this weekend. Which one stands out to you out of all these really tremendous games? I mean, I could go on and on and on with some of these games coming up on Saturday and on Sunday.
I looked at this college board. You remember, you couldn't shut me up last Saturday about college. I just kept going on, and I got another one.
Smorgasbord.
This week, I didn't really love some of the lines I was seeing, but I do like one game. You got 2, 3, and 5 teams. Houston going up against Baylor. Houston has, I think they made their move this year into the Big 12, if I'm not mistaken. These are 2 teams that are pretty similar on paper. On paper, actually, Baylor probably looks a little bit better. But a couple things. Number one, Houston played West Virginia, and they had a good game. They played Texas. They put up a good fight against Texas. Baylor got absolutely destroyed by Texas. Houston kept it much closer. So, like I said, I'm looking at some of these games now, and I'm looking at when these teams face the same opponent earlier in the year. Now that we have that data and we're able to see that, it's interesting to use.
Gives you an edge.
Gives you an edge for sure. If you look
seen
at those,
something finally for a while.
Yeah, if you look.
That's why I like, when the season gets deeper.
Yeah, you have way more to work with. The lines do get sharper, but you have more to work with.
And you got the weather element now this time of the year. Don't forget, guys, listen, it was nice weather. Now it's going to start getting cold. The fields get a little sloppy. You got the wind, the rain, the sleet, the snow coming into certain areas. So you got to be very careful on making decisions. That's what Teddy and I really look for. In addition, when we're making our selections, is what's going on in the area as far as weather.
Yeah, just a quick one, easy one is be careful with overs when the weather isn't good and the passing is tough.
Turnovers, yeah.
But I like Houston in this game as the road team. I'm looking at Baylor. They are 0-8 against the spread at home in their last 8. They have the 100th scoring offense, 105th scoring defense.
What happened to them? They were like a powerhouse.
They were a powerhouse
right, for
team.
a while, and now they fell
Well,
apart.
they had that
coaching
that scandal.
Yeah, of course. How many years ago was that? About 5?
Yeah, I can't think of
forget
his
his
name.
last
Art Byler, but yeah, they had
Biles.
Art Biles. Yeah, they had the scandal with him, and it does seem like ever since that scandal, things have fallen apart for
Well,
them.
a lot of people, a lot of players went to different directions. They didn't want to be involved in it. So,
Yeah,
they couldn't recruit the
I
talent.
think that answers your question right there of what happened to them. But that Houston play plus 7.5, plus 7, that's my game of the week. A couple other ones I looked at a little bit. I like UTSA over North Texas. UTSA beat North Texas twice last year, once in the regular season and in the bowl game. This UTSA team, they're averaging 42 points in their last 4 games. They are an offensive powerhouse. The only issue with them is they don't really have much defense.
Yep. Shootouts always.
This total's like 71. I would not be surprised if this one went over.
Yeah. Well, those teams, like you say, they can pour it on and they can let the other team pour it on. But 71, they're already thinking that game's going to be a high-scoring game.
And
I'm sure.
Speaking of, I like the Washington USC over 76.
Yeah, that could be the last whoever touches the ball. Well, Washington could pour it on, and both of those teams can score. They got potent in offenses, big time.
USC has a terrible defense. Caleb needs
not playing right lately.
Caleb needs a comeback game because his
stock is
he's
dropped.
losing stock big time. He needs a statement game and a comeback game, and obviously Michael Penix is Michael Penix. You got 2 premier quarterbacks, 2 Heisman contenders. I think this is going to be a high-flying, entertaining game. And I think it's going to go over.
What about some of these big matchups this weekend? I'm just looking right here. You got Kansas State, Texas. I mean, that's huge. You got Notre Dame playing Clemson. That's going to be a huge game. Like I told you, LSU and Bama is going to be a huge game. You got Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. That's a huge rivalry, both ranked in the top 25 in the country. I mean, anything on any of those major matchups?
The only big matchup that I was really looking at was,
the public likes those.
I know. The only big matchup that I was looking at was that Washington USC over. I'm not really, like I said at the
Missouri
beginning.
and Georgia, too. Top.
Oh, I will say this. I think that just for the simple fact of Georgia getting a little bit of disrespect, I think they're going to come into this Missouri game fired up with a point to prove.
15.5.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The Missouri
and
team's showing up lately.
Missouri team showing up. The odds makers are really showing Georgia a lot of respect, and sometimes when I see the odds makers showing respect, I have to show the odds makers respect and say, hey, these odds makers think that Georgia's going to blow them out. I'm going to roll with them.
Well, I'll tell you, I love a game on Saturday. I mentioned it earlier. I love this Big 12 matchup between Kansas State and Texas, and I think the dog is for real in this game. Kansas State right now is playing great on both sides of the ball. Yes, Texas is a powerhouse. I think they're going to have their hands full, Texas, with this team. I think it's similar to the game against Oklahoma, where Oklahoma beat Texas, the game their only loss. I think Kansas State can come in here. They got an easy schedule after this game, and I think they're going to come into this game fired up like to a whole different level, and I'm liking Kansas State. The line on this game right now is about 4.5. I'm okay with it right there on the spot. I wouldn't go any lower than that. So if the line does come down or it goes up, take advantage of it. If it goes up to 4.5, maybe jump on it to go to +5. If it stays at this point right now where it's around 4.5, stay at that level. I'm okay with that. I like the dog in this game big time. It's a 10 unit, which is the top-rated play for me in college football. Going Saturday. You're getting it here for free.
Can't disagree with you there. I mean, Kansas State, the line, if you look at nothing else, the line shows Kansas State. It's almost
They're
like
just playing great football right now.
It's almost like
zone.
they're asking people to it's almost like they want people to take Texas in this one. Kansas State is just on fire.
Right, exactly.
Blowing out TCU, blowing out Houston.
That line is so soft, too.
Yeah, it opened at 8. It's
Well, that was probably just an overnight kind of line, but since the line really been out, it's been solid at pretty much at 4.
I mean, that was before Texas lost 2 games.
Yeah.
So Texas losing, I mean.
I think they lost once.
You're right. They lost to Oklahoma.
That's it.
They did not cover in the last 2 games against Houston and Oklahoma. And they didn't cover against Wyoming.
I think they covered last week against BYU.
BYU they
blew
covered,
them
but
up.
it's BYU. But the tougher teams, they're not covering. They did cover against Kansas. They covered against Baylor. And, of course, they beat Bama. That was their premier. But when everyone saw them beat Bama, they were, like, crowning this team, and I don't know.
Yeah, well, there's a lot on the line right now in college football. We both know that because, like I said, these powerhouse teams, they want to try to stay undefeated. They want to stay in the national championship run. So they're going to try to, impress everyone, especially, the committee, as they call it, that's ranking these teams, for bowl position. A lot of money at stake out there with these big bowl games, tens of millions of dollars.
A lot of money at stake, and that's why besides making it to the playoffs, teams have an incentive to be in that top 12 because those top 12 teams make it to a certain set of premier bowl games, New Year's bowl games, and if you're not in that top 12, you might not make it into those bowl games.
I agree with you, and that could cost your school a lot of money.
Right.
But I got one other play I do like on Saturday. I'll keep it short. It's not a huge play, but it is a strong lean. I think Notre Dame beats Clemson. I'd money line the play. They're on the road. They're making them 3. Clemson, I know that at home they're a dangerous team. Don't get me wrong. I know that for a fact over the years. Dabo knows what he's doing. He's a great coach, but I don't think he has the powerhouse, and I think Notre Dame, I put them out last week. I told you they would blow Pittsburgh out. I said if there was a come-out game, that would be the one, and they won by 50. So I think they're on their way. They're starting to escalate a little bit, and I think this game would be a perfect situation for Notre Dame. I would play this game on the money line only, and I would jump on Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, to get the job done against Clemson.
I think you're 2-0 or 3-0 using Notre Dame this year, so I'm not going to argue with you there. You've been on target with them.
You got, sometimes you just got to find that groove on certain teams that you feel comfortable with that can get the job done. It's hard to find these teams that are sporadic and stuff. So I'd rather find a team that makes sense and try to jump on the bandwagon and pick my spots with that team, especially on certain points. Like last week, they were 20.5. I thought they were at least 28 or better. And that's why I said they'll win by at least 27-35. I was wrong. They won by 50.
Yeah, that's what and it's easier to do that in college football than any other sport. I'm kind of doing that this year.
You can't say that in the NFL, right?
You
The team's
can't
going
do
to win
that
by
in the
50.
NFL, man. I mean,
Unless you're the Miami Dolphins against Denver.
Even the Dolphins. You want to know a funny stat about the Dolphins? The Dolphins have not beaten a team with a winning record since week 3 of last year.
It's going to change
real
fast.
I think he just foreshadowed his Sunday pick. But before we get to that, so Scotty's been riding Notre Dame. I've been riding Air Force. I had him last week. This week, the line is a little bit too big for me. I'm not touching the game this week. But I think I'm like 3-1 betting on Air Force games. So Scotty's right. You have to, in college, you find those teams, they kind of create these predictable results. Can't really do that in the NFL.
Yeah, that's why, like we try to preach, I mean, there's so many games out there, guys. Think about it. There's so many numbers that you have to really try to figure out who's going to, cover these point spreads. Think about 70, 80 games you're up against. That's 140 to 160 teams on a Saturday, and you got to try to figure out which ones to pick. That's why you got to zone in. You look for certain teams, certain conferences that you feel comfortable with, and you really, if you know the numbers like we do. I mean, we're experts when it comes to numbers. We're looking to beat the point spread. You can hear all the stuff you want to hear about players. This one in the lineup, this one out of the lineup. At the end of the day, they put a number out for a reason, and that's what you're looking to beat at the end of the day. So I'd rather, look for conferences with solid teams on numbers. I feel like have a shot to be in that game and win them.
Absolutely.
I want to jump to the NFL because we got a unbelievable schedule. There's like 3 powerhouse games. You got Miami, Kansas City. You got Joe Burrow taking I'm just looking at the games. Sorry about that. On Sunday. You got Joe Burrow in the late game against Buffalo, against Josh Allen. That's going to be tremendous. And how about down in Philadelphia? Dallas and Philly. I mean, right there on that's a huge Sunday of games. Just those 3 in addition to the rest of them.
Yeah.
Do you have anything on any of those games?
I do. I have one on the Dallas-Philly game, but I think you have one on the KC-Miami.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the early one. That's the
I
the
just
Europe
like this game.
I personally, I have this fear of betting on these European early games. I just don't do it. I haven't done it yet this year.
Frankfurt, first time, right?
Yeah,
They've ever
Frankfurt,
played there?
Germany. I'm personally not betting it, so I want to hear what you have to say about this one.
Well, I like the way the Dolphins are coming into this game, and I like the way the coaching staff is handling the team itself. They've been over there for a few days already. I think they got there on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. They're letting the players relax. They're letting the players do their thing over there. So that means they're comfortable in their system. And I think Kansas City right now, I mean, they look terrible in their last game. I think Mahomes is banged up a little bit. All this stuff with Kelsey and, going on with him in his personal life and being at the World Series. I don't know if you heard about that. They're busting his ass about him being at Game 1 of the World Series. Why he left, the area to go to the Game 1, and I think it was in Texas.
Yeah.
The Game 1 of the World Series.
It's not like it's in Kansas City.
Right.
Couple states away.
And they haven't even left. I think they're leaving today or tomorrow. They're staying back home. The Dolphins are already over there a couple of days. But that's besides the point. I just like the way the Dolphins are playing right now. Yes, they're not beating teams that they should be beating, which are the higher-ranked teams. But I think that in this game, giving them 2 points – right now, the line's coming down. It was 3. It's down to 2. I'd buy this line to +3, and I'd jump on Miami like back up the truck kind of game. I think this game is huge. I think they're an incredible dog, and I think they will take advantage of KC. And KC has not seen an offense. And when they're on full throttle, Miami, they haven't run into a buzzsaw like Miami yet this season. Miami +3, best bet.
Yeah, I mean, number one offense in every category. KC's offense is good. Their defense is solid. Their rushing defense is middle of the pack in the league if you look at it. So, yeah, I can see Miami running the ball. I would love it if A-Chain was back in this game, but Mostert was getting the job done.
He's been playing good.
Playing great.
They got so many weapons. If they put it all together, I mean, they're tough. They're a tough out for any team in the NFL, Miami.
And
They really are.
And Jalen's back. He had the interception last week, so that makes their defense a little bit better. That's been their struggle is defense this year. So that makes their defense a little bit better, having another nice weapon like that in the secondary.
They got to stop Mahomes. If Mahomes gets on one of those rolls where he starts completing 15 in a row, or 21 out of 24 passes, Miami, it could be a long day for Miami. But I think that Miami's coming into this game right. I think they're coming in with the right offense, and they're going to come with a good defensive plan. And I think Mahomes is banged up. I really do. I think he didn't look right in that last game. So he might be, I don't know if he was sick or he was just hurt or something like that.
You get blown out by the Denver Broncos, that's a problem.
That was a payback game. Yeah, they played a few weeks before that, and in KC, and KC kind of handled them. But anything else you like? Because I love another game at night.
I like. What's the night game? The
4:25 games.
Okay, so I like the Eagles over the Cowboys. I mean, you could play it at 2.5. I think this guy might like the Cowboys.
Boy.
I've been preaching against the Cowboys all year, and I'm not going to abandon ship now. They have had some impressive victories lately, but I think the Eagles are the real deal. I think that you're going to look back at, like, for instance, the Eagles win against the Dolphins, even though the officiating was terrible in that game. I think that the Cowboys are out of their league in this game. Yes, they did beat the Rams convincingly. Yes, they did beat the Chargers in a close one. But
they're similar to like the Dolphins. You know what I mean? They win against, they blow out these teams that they should. And then when they play against tough teams, they find ways to lose. It's kind of nuts, but I think it's going to change.
I think that the Dolphins are a step above the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are a phony bunch when it comes to equality of a team, and I think
don't tell Jerry that.
I think the Eagles come in this game, and I mean, you could play it on the money line, but I'm confident. I don't even need the money line. I would do the points on this one.
Line currently
like
right
3.
now. Hold on, guys. 3 solid, and you got a total of 45.5. I'm looking at all the major books on my phone right now that I have it listed with. I'm going to disagree with you. No disrespect to you, of course, but I love the Cowboys in this game. I don't know. There's just something. They owe me a payback because I had them big time against San Fran, and I looked dumb in that game. I don't think I'm going to look dumb. I think I'm going to look smart this week. I think the Cowboys come into this game I'd grab that line at +3. I'm okay with 3. I think it's going to stay right around that neighborhood. It may even go to 3.5 because the public's going to jump in this game sooner or later. Obviously, we're doing this show days in advance, but I would take Dallas. You might even be able to get a chance to buy it up to +4. I would get to 4. I would jump on Dallas in this game. I think they're a live play. I think they have a shot to win. Not that I even think they have a shot. I know they have a shot to win the game outright. If they can keep the mistakes and limit Dak from making those mistakes that he normally can make, I think they have a great shot to win this game. And I think this is their little spiral moving in the right direction. So I like the Cowboys in this game big time.
Yeah, and listen, we have a game, at least one game every week where we got to go against each other. So this
But
is
you've been beating me on those. I got to beat you this week.
I have been beating you,
Damn.
Scotty. You need
Ben, we got to beat this guy.
we got to come back here. I'm on the
Ben.
Texans over the Buccaneers, man. This is one that I really like. I think that you got two teams that are 3 and 4. I just think that the Texans are a better team, and I love this QB. I think that Stroud is the real deal. He's impressive, and I think Mayfield can win games, but we already know what Mayfield is, and we know what he isn't. I think Stroud has much higher ceiling and a lot more to prove, and they're going to come and bounce back after that loss against the
I thought you were a big Tampa Bay guy.
winless Panthers. I listen. I have picked
You had them
Tampa.
early in the year.
I've had them a couple times this year. I was right once and I was wrong once, but
Yeah, these two teams are nasty at best, I guess, at this point.
these aren't good teams. And this isn't a premier game. But Houston's 4-1 against the spread in their last 5. Tampa Bay's been struggling. They've lost 3 in a row now. Buffalo, good team. I understand losing against them. I understand losing against Detroit. The game that I had them in against Atlanta, they lost also. They're going in the wrong direction here. I'm on Houston.
All right, you got it. Well, you heard what I like. My 2 big games, like I said, Miami Dolphins +3. I'd buy that line to 3. I feel great about it. And I love the Cowboys. And if you could get that line up to +4, I know we do these shows days in advance and numbers do change. So I'm just giving you the best advice I can. Don't go any lower than +3. But if you have the shot to go to +4, jump on it and take Dallas in that game. Best bet for me on both of those. All right, let's talk about, we got the World Series here, and I'll tell you, you're going to be golden because you're 1 game away when we're doing this show. Texas is up 3-1 against Arizona. Looks like they own Arizona at this point. Both games in Arizona, they blow them out so far.
Blowout, yeah.
Not even close. I mean, not even close. Well, 3-1 and 11-7, but, dominating games that were up from start to finish. It didn't really matter. So I don't know if you want to add anything about the World Series before we call it a day here. Talked a lot about football.
Not much to add. I would say,
Maybe share that big ticket with us. You're going to cash on Texas soon?
Not that it
What do you
matters,
think, Ben?
but they shut Scherzer down. Obviously, they don't need him. It's pretty much over by now.
Yeah.
I knew when they made that move for Scherzer, and we were talking about it on the show, I knew they believed in themselves, and they knew they were going a long way. And you could just notice patterns in the year as the year goes on. So that's what made me make that call. You see a team continuously win games that they might not be expected to win, and then you start to see the odds makers move into their favor, and then you see these other teams that are supposed to win these games losing more of them than often. You say, you know what? These guys are for real. They have the future. These guys maybe not so much.
Doesn't hurt to have Corey Seager hitting these monster home runs too.
What do you have? 3 home runs in the last game. I mean, he's probably going to get
shortstop got 3 home runs.
He's probably going to get the MVP.
I think so.
He's,
at this point,
yeah, he's lights out.
But Simeon's been great, clutch.
No, I
in
think
spots,
I think
so.
Seager gets the MVP for sure.
He won it in 2020, right? I think he won the MVP in the World Series for the Dodgers.
I believe so.
Yeah, so this could be a second trip with a MVP. That's the guy's unbelievable. Takes it to a whole different level.
This was the first World Series, I think, in like 10 years that didn't have either the Astros or the Dodgers in it, or something like that. Really interesting stat.
Yeah, the Astros was there like 5 out of the last 10 or something like that.
This is a World Series that's
7.
probably not making as much money for the
ratings.
for
They say are down. Yeah,
but
it's an exciting series.
But it is a good series. I mean, the games actually technically they're not close. They really haven't been close.
No, they're
at
not
all.
close. No.
I'd like to see one close game, but it's entertaining.
Well, the
thing,
first game was close. It went into extra innings.
That's true.
Right.
One
game.
thing I want to bring up: college basketball starts soon. Hockey's in the heat of the moment. Loving hockey right
How
now.
about NBA? We didn't even say anything about NBA. That's how busy we are with.
Yeah, and I don't really love the NBA too much. Now, one thing I want to say also: we have sports betting coming to the state of Florida. I believe it's December 1st.
Oh, the big kahuna is going to be all over that
He's
one.
going to love it. I think it would be cool if we could take the whole studio.
Where'd he go, by the way? Has he disappeared? I think he's hanging out with some this couple of hot tamales somewhere, I think, down at South Beach. We got to locate
Let me give him a call.
Yeah, call him, man. Get his ass back here already.
We got to talk to the Seminole tribe and try to organize bringing this whole studio to the Hard Rock for when they drop.
Right? Wouldn't that be great?
That's what
we
we
do
should
it right
do.
in the sportsbook area there by the cafe.
They probably want like $10,000. I'm going to put in a phone call,
Tell
though.
the big kahuna to pick the check up. That's all.
I'm going to put in a phone call. I think it would be cool to do a show there. I don't know if they'll let us do it, but they let me film there the other couple weeks ago. Yeah, I was filming some clips. I sat down. They let me film, and I was talking.
Right.
I bought a drink, and
They're not going to bother the CEO of Sports Profits.
But
Come
then
on.
all of a sudden, I'm sitting there filming, and the music goes from like a 2 to a 10.
Yeah, so you can't hear nothing.
So I think the person that was cool with letting me film was okay, but I think there was someone like on the cameras or something that say, "Oh, that guy's filming. Let's turn the music up on him."
That sucks because then they can't hear you.
Yeah.
So it's like, what?
We still got the clips done, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun. We're going to have a sports book 20 minutes away from our house that we can.
I'm hearing now they're going to go mobile. They're going to do mobile,
I mean,
too.
they're going to have to.
At first they said they're not doing mobile. You have to just be on premise. But now they're saying something about mobile is going to be good, too. They're going to go with it.
They're going to have to go mobile if they want to compete. Definitely.
And what about the one in Coconut Creek? Will that get it, too? Because it's
every
Seminole
casino will have it.
All right, cool. All right.
Tampa. Yeah.
All right. Hey, sports betting in Florida. You didn't. I would have never thought it years ago. I would have said, nah, not happening. Who'd have think sports betting would be all over the country, like in 26, 28 states now?
Now, the funny part is you got a state like California that has legal weed, legal mushrooms or decriminalized mushrooms, and they still haven't legalized sports betting. Make that one make sense.
Things that make you go, Yep. Well, guys, come on. Get sports betting all over. I mean, it's out there. This is not like, things that are not out there. This is out there everywhere. So why doesn't everyone just come out with it and let everyone do what they want to do when it comes to the sports betting? But anyways, I had a great show. I appreciate you being here, and I need you to let the people know where they can get your daily info and all the great plays that you put out, because you are one of the hardest working men in show business when it comes to this business. So where can they find you?
Yeah, we do work hard. It gets tiring sometimes, but it's fun. You can go to Instagram, _profits, PROPHETS _pick, no S on pick. YouTube.com/@thesportsprofits, TikTok @thesportsprofits.
All right, guys, check him out, because let me tell you something. I've been around the business for over 35 years. The man does work hard. He does put that effort in. You're not going to win them all. We never do. But we're going to give you the best shot we can that we feel to give you that winning edge. All right, check the show out each and every week. You can check me out, obviously, on TikTok, which is my handle on TikTok is @SMPicks, PICKS. And on Instagram, you can find me at @SMSportsPicks, PICKS. Don't confuse it. Just use it. All right? Check the show out each and every week. We're on all podcast forums, guys. Spotify, Apple, you name it, we're there. It's the original show. It's the OSB Sports Podcast. I'm Scott Matthews. I'm with my man, Teddy Brooks. We'll catch you back here next week.